The LA Clippers are set to go on their 6-game Grammy East Coast road trip. But before they do, they were tasked with getting their 4th win against the San Antonio Spurs this season, and they did it in commanding fashion. 138 points scored by the Clippers. What has changed to make the Clippers offense go from one of the worst in the league to now rolling on all cylinders? And what has Ty Lue figured out that is unlocking this team's potential? Going to be talking about it all on today's Locked On Clippers.
On Clippers, your daily Los Angeles Clippers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Yes, sir. You are locking in with the Clips. Thank you for making Locked On Clippers the first listen of your day, your team every day. I'm your host, Darian Vaziri, in my 18th season as a Clipper fan. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DimeDropperPod. And, of course, subscribe to my YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, for more Clipper, LA sports, and NBA history content. Today's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. LinkedIn is where you can help quickly attract qualified candidates to your open jobs with targeting tools and more. Check it out. Going to be talking more about LinkedIn as the episode goes on. And of course, going to be talking more about the Clippers as the episode goes on. And Locked On Clippers is free and available, streaming on all podcasting platforms, including YouTube, where you should subscribe and hit the notification bell if you have not. And make sure to comment on today's pinned question. Now that Luke Kennard is back, let's say Marcus Morris did play tonight. What is your rotation and how many guys are you playing if you're Ty Lue? No John Wall, just saying Senior, Kennard, 10 of them. Which 10 are you playing all 10? I want to know that because tonight there were a couple things to talk about. First, the Clipper performance, why it was such a blowout, why the offense has changed so much, and then something that Ty Lue has finally really figured out, and with his post-game comments is confirming what we've all been asking for since the beginning of the season. But let's get right into it. This was the 4th and final matchup against the San Antonio Spurs this season. The one in LA previously was the game that Paul George actually got injured and he was cooking in the first half. Then the Clippers obviously played them last week to start this winning streak. So it went San Antonio, then Dallas, then the Lakers, and now San Antonio again. And we needed the Clippers to go on a nice 4-game winning streak going into this road trip, because this road trip is going to be the biggest test, in my opinion, of the Clippers season thus far. We had the earlier road trip at the end of December, but this one, the Grammy trip, is really going to make or break the Clippers right before the All-Star break. A really good chance to gain ground and continue this momentum and finally show the world that they're going to be able to beat elite teams. Because San Antonio twice and the Lakers and then the Dallas Mavericks, the only really solid team there is Dallas, and even they have their blatant flaws. But tonight, a team that didn't have blatant flaws were the Clippers. You know, we heard the news that Marcus Morris Sr. was still going to be out with that rib contusion, which this was his first game missing, actually, I should say. And Luke Kennard was back. So welcome back, Luke Kennard. Missed a lot of games with that calf injury. And the question was before the game, who's going to start instead of Senior? Is Nico going to start? Because if he does, that only leaves us with Robert Covington as a big forward off the bench. And now Reggie Kennard and Norman Powell are all coming off the bench together, which means, is Ty Lue going to fall into the trap of playing that 3-guard set that we dread? Well, no, he didn't. Ty Lue made a smart decision of starting Luke Kennard alongside Terrence Mann, so everyone's 6'5" and over, and then Kawhi and Paul George at the 3 and the 4. Which absolutely works given their size. And then obviously Zeus starting. In San Antonio, you know, Jeremy Sohan did not play tonight. So their starting lineup was Trey Jones, Malachi Branham, Keita Bates-Diop, Keldon Johnson, and Jakob Poeltl. So the Clippers can totally match up with that even with the smaller lineup. And no Devin Vassell, who was the one guy in the 4 games the Clippers played against the Spurs. The one that they seemed like they were most going to lose was that first San Antonio game, in my opinion, at San Antonio, where Devin Vassell, being on a minutes restriction, saved the Clippers in the 4th quarter because they could not stop the guy. But because he wasn't playing, this game was cruise control, especially because the Spurs played the Lakers a night ago on Wednesday night. So you knew they were a little tired. They fought pretty hard against them. And the Clippers just absolutely waxed them. Josh Richardson also didn't play. So 3 very key rotation players not playing for San Antonio, and the defense just came very easy. The Clippers can switch 1 through 4. Ivica Zubac's in drop coverage. Trey Jones, Keita Bates-Diop, these guys aren't really shooters. The only real shooter out there in that starting lineup is Keldon Johnson. And Malachi Branham is not bad at shootings from what I've seen so far. And Keita Bates-Diop actually was 2 for 5 from deep, but just his shot, and same with Trey Jones, teams are going to live with these guys shooting. But you know who teams aren't going to live with shooting? Paul George. The guy was unstoppable again tonight. And the story of this game is just Kawhi Leonard and Paul George are finally healthy, finally playing together in consecutive games, and you're seeing the kind of rhythm that they're in right now. Paul George was scoring in every which type of way. You didn't even see that many high screen and rolls. You saw a lot of off-ball actions. You saw off-ball actions to try to free up Kawhi and Paul George. You saw pick and rolls with wings setting them. And then, of course, yes, you did have Ivica Zubac still setting screens. But overall, it was a very balanced, diverse attack. At times, Paul George would just go one-on-one. He knew he couldn't be stopped tonight. He was getting to the basket. He was hitting threes. He was pulling up for mid-ranges after tween cross, pull-ups. It was just an absolute show. I kind of wish I was at the game tonight, but I had other obligations. But being at the game tonight, for all those Clipper fans that went, you got an absolute show because Paul George was just lighting it up from quarter one. And simultaneously, in a much quieter fashion, before you knew it already had 14 points, was Kawhi Leonard, who also has really been amazing against the Spurs since he joined the Clippers. He's had a little something against them, and man, he dominated. Turnaround over the right shoulder. Mid-range, three-pointer, pull up in your face, pull up when the defense is in drop coverage, steal when Stanley Johnson's not looking, go all the way. Kawhi Leonard is doing it all lately, and I also thought Paul George's defense was really active. Again tonight, 2 straight good defensive games for him, and that's shown by his stat line. Incredible. Both of them never let their feet off the gas. They were in total command the whole game. Were the 2 best players on the court. And when you have 2 stars playing at their best against a team with no stars, the game will come easily. Paul George, my player of the game for the 2nd consecutive game. 35 points, 4 rebounds, 7 assists, 3 steals. And of course, he's running the controls a lot, running the point a lot. The best statistic of them all. 0 turnovers. And the Clippers as a team only had 5 turnovers in the entire game. San Antonio had 14 and the Clippers had 26 points off those turnovers. So exactly what you want to see from the Clippers. For Paul George to only have to not even have 1 turnover is absolutely massive. And if he can keep it within 3 or under, the Clippers are in that championship discussion, absolutely, even with no point guard. I mean that. 35 points for Paul George. He had the highest plus-minus of any player in the game with plus 26. He played 35 minutes. Ty Lue actually let him play longer in that first quarter, up until the 2-minute mark, because I think he saw that he was just hot. So I kind of like that. Because here's the thing. Paul George got to rest a little bit more in the end of the game. However, there was a stretch where the Clippers had the game in the refrigerator, as the great Chick Hearn used to say, and Paul George was still out there. I don't know why, but at the end of the day, he still didn't play 38 minutes or anything. 35 is okay. You probably want to see him play a little less in a blowout like that, but it is what it is. 14 for 19 shooting tonight for PG. He was absolutely insane, and 5 for 8 from 3. Just incredible. And Kawhi Leonard, he played 31 minutes, but the guy was just incredible as well. 27 points, 3 rebounds, 7 assists on 10 for 16 shooting, 2 for 6 from deep, and 5 for 6 from the line. He is in a zone right now. He is playing like the Kawhi Leonard that we know and recognize. And when those two are rolling on all cylinders, you get scores like 138 to 100 to the Clippers. That's their 4th win in a row. Kawhi Leonard and Paul George combine for 62 points. So if you divide that by 2, that's 31 each. And that is winning basketball. Clippers moved to 27-24, 4 wins on the spin. The Spurs moved to 14-35. But coming up, going to be talking about what Ty Lue has figured out and why it's leading to better results all the way around from the bench to the starters. Coming up. LinkedIn Jobs helps you quickly attract qualified candidates to your open jobs with targeting tools. And as a small business owner or hiring manager, you know that success in 2023 all depends on the team members you surround yourself with. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. With LinkedIn Jobs, you can hire qualified candidates more efficiently by matching open roles with people who have the skills, values, and experiences to help you achieve your goals. I got my Rams ambassador job on LinkedIn, but that was me applying for a job on LinkedIn, and it worked. But if you are looking to attract qualified candidates to your business, LinkedIn goes beyond resume data by using insights from your job post, company, and their 875 million member profiles to put your post in front of the most qualified candidates. LinkedIn Jobs makes it easy to screen and rate applicants based on your job qualifications all on one platform. It's 2023, the new year is underway, and it's time to find the right team member that might help you achieve your business goals. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnba. That's linkedin.com/lockedonnba to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. All right. I'm really satisfied with the way the Clippers have been playing lately. And one of the main reasons why is that Ty Lue, after 50 games, or I want to say 47 games or so, or maybe 45 is where he stopped doing it, has finally canned the 3-guard set. The dreaded 3-guard lineup that was causing all sorts of mismatch problems and low resistance guarding the ball, and also just predictable for defenses to guard, switching everything and making certain guys go one-on-one. Now what we have is our wing players playing, our lineups bigger. It's causing havoc for teams defensively. Even when guys get blown by, now we have guys with length, guys with more size helping and defending. It's not like you blow by John Wall and then you see Luke Kennard under the basket. You may blow by Luke Kennard. You're seeing Nico Batum, senior Terrence Mann. It's totally different. And Robert Covington, again tonight, was absolutely spectacular. I just cannot believe he had so many DNPs earlier in the season when you know what this guy can bring on both ends of the floor. Active hands, great weak side help, great help defense in general, sneaky blocks from behind, the ability to stretch the floor, the ability to get run off the three-point line and still make a play. Tonight, Robert Covington alongside Nicholas Batum, Norman Powell, Reggie Jackson, the 4 guys who played tonight. And because Ty Lue made the extremely smart decision of starting Luke Kennard, that made it so that Reggie Jackson and Norman Powell could still play with 2 big wings off the bench and Nico and Rocco, and the lineups were not messed up. And Ty Lue said after the game, he purposely did it because he knows that the 3-guard sets have not had much success. Now, I don't know why it took him so long to do it, but again, because of the state of the West this year, the Clippers may be lucky enough, if Kawhi and Paul stay healthy, to hit this stride at the right time and still be able to get a good seed. I never denied that they may be able to catch stride at the right time, but 2 things needed to happen. I needed to see Paul George and Kawhi get on the court consistently, and I needed to see Ty Lue choose lineups that maximize the defensive potential of this team. And right now, that is happening. We need to see it continue, though, because right now the Clippers, as I mentioned in the first segment, they haven't beaten very good teams in this winning streak. Now they're going to be tested. At Atlanta, that's going to be a tough game. They've won 7 out of their last 10 games, so that will not be easy by any stretch. But we should be ready for it the way we're playing. And guys like Robert Covington, who were just everywhere in this game, Nico Batum continuing to do a little bit of everything as well, and then Norman Powell, who shot a little poorly tonight, 4 for 11 from the field, but he's just finds a way to get his 15. He finds a way to get his 15, and it's starting to look like what I said before the season is coming true, that Norman Powell will be our 3rd guy when push comes to shove. And right now, it's looking like that take aged well. Because again tonight, 15 points, 4 for 11 shooting, but 3 for 7 from deep, and a couple of his threes came off just incredible ball movement by the Clippers. And again, when Paul George and Kawhi get second defenders or attract second defenders. In Kawhi's case, he could just catch the ball in the mid-post against certain guys, and teams are going to hard double him. And when that happens, the Clippers get the ball moving, and you're starting to see extra swings leading to corner threes and open threes. And if you're a Clipper fan and you're saying, I wish the Clippers had moved the ball like this in the beginning, there's a reason why it wasn't happening. Because the Clippers were not creating offensive advantages because their personnel wasn't that strong. Last season, the Clippers didn't have good offense without Kawhi and Paul George, and we had Paul George for 31 games. Kawhi Leonard, what's the common denominator from the season that the Clippers had a top 10 offense? Kawhi Leonard. He's the common denominator. When he plays, it adds a totally different level of dynamism to the Clippers attack. It adds a guy that's capable of scoring 30 points in his sleep, and now you have to game plan for him, and Paul George is the second threat. Are you kidding me? Like, I think we don't understand sometimes how little time Paul George has really had as a second scoring option in his career. In Indiana, he was always that first scoring option when he took that mantle over from Granger in 2012-13. And when he went to Oklahoma City, despite the fact that Russell Westbrook was the man, Paul George was the number one scoring option. It's not until he's joined up with Kawhi Leonard that he's the second scoring option. And we haven't even seen him finish a playoffs with Ty Lue or with fans, whichever one you want to call it, with Kawhi Leonard. So that's why when people say, oh man, I don't know if this thing can work. I don't know if they can play together well. We haven't seen them play together enough for you to even say that. And right now, I know it's the Spurs, and trust me, it is still very weird that the San Antonio Spurs are this atrocious. Like, I'm a kid that grew up with San Antonio being a game on the schedule where you're usually expecting a loss if you don't play insane. The fact that they're just a game on the schedule where you need to get a win just tells you a lot about the direction of the franchise and just where they're at right now relative to where they were with Duncan, Parker, and Manu. But as for the Clippers bench, let's just talk about him. Robert Covington, 13 points, 7 rebounds. Again, you can see the activity defensively with his hands from the box score. 2 steals and 3 blocks. I mean, are you kidding me? 5 steals and blocks combined? Unreal. 5 for 7 from the field. And the only thing he wasn't really doing well to start the season, but it's starting to come around. Shocker when you play more. 3 for 5 from deep. Plus 19 off the bench. And you know who else was 3 for 5 from deep? Nico Batum. And those were all the shots he shot, were those 5 threes, and he made 3 of them. So combined, 6 for 10 from 3 for Rocco and Nico. And Reggie Jackson, another solid game. He's been in double figures recently, and with John Wall out, he's making a case for himself to stay in that rotation. Now again, I'm not opposed to Reggie Jackson being in the rotation when the Clippers have everyone back and they play 10 guys. But if they have to choose 9 guys to play because they want to stagger Paul George and Kawhi, to me, Reggie has to be the odd man out. Because Marcus Morris, here's the pros and cons here. Senior gives the Clippers another bigger body on defense. I think for that reason, when Senior's having a decent effort on defense, he's okay. When Reggie's having decent effort on defense, he's still 6'2". It's just the facts. But the difference is Reggie Jackson can create shots for others through the pick and roll, whereas Senior, he really is only creating shots for himself. So I'd say Reggie Jackson's offensive skill set favors the Clippers more. It's Marcus Morris Senior's size that would give him the defensive argument. In my opinion, I still want the size out there. I think Reggie Jackson, if you have to pick 9 players, he should not play. I still believe that because a game against San Antonio and the Lakers where he plays well is not we're not going to be playing those teams in the playoffs. And it's about that level of competition where I don't trust him. But you can say in 2021 he did this and that. I totally believe that Reggie's declined a little bit since then. And mind you, these comments do not come out of dislike for Reggie Jackson. I absolutely adore him. I think he's the most caring to the fans Clipper player, maybe the most in my entire 18 years of fandom. He truly is the nicest guy to fans, and we've been so good to him too as fans. But I truly believe there are 9 better players than him in this rotation, and Luke Kennard's one of them. And speaking of Luke Kennard, he played 17 minutes in this one and looked good. He only shot 3 times, but he made 2 of those shots. One of them was a 3. He had 5 points. I also thought Terrence Mann was fairly quiet. Only 2 points for him. And that, offensively, he was fairly quiet. He passed up a wide open layup on the break, though, and got a turnover, which I was very disappointed in him for, because I love Terrence and I hold him to a high standard and want him to get as many buckets as possible. But overall, his defensive activity is still great. 2 points, 4 boards, 2 assists, 1 for 3 shooting for Terrence in 24 minutes of play. And I don't know if I said it for Reggie, but 12 points on 5 for 10 shooting. So keeping it efficient, even though he did not make a 3. He was 0 for 3 from deep, but he was plus 16. The Clipper bench, just those 4 guys. I'm not mentioning Musa, Jason Preston, or the Brewmaster, Brandon Boston, who came in garbage time. But if we just count the 4 players, the Norman, Reggie, Rocco, and Nico, they combined for 49 points between the 4 of them. So Clippers will take that all day. And the quarter breakdown, as I said, it was a pretty wire-to-wire victory. Clippers led by 16 after 1, 41-25, and then outscored the Spurs 37-32 in the second, 26-24 in the third, and then 34-19 in the fourth to win by 38. And guess what, Clipper Nation? You know what's special about what I just read? Finally, I think it may be the first game of the season where the Clippers officially gave no quarter. How about it? How about it? And coming up, going to finish off with looking at the first 50 games of this Clippers season, where we were, where we are now, what we should expect going forward, looking at the road trip, and why the offense has gotten so much better. Going to be talking about it all coming up. The NFL playoffs are here, and we're really excited about our new sports betting partner for Locked On because of the number one sportsbook in America, and that is FanDuel. And if you're new to FanDuel, that's even better. They have so many great features that make betting on sports fun and easy. And new customers that join today to get started can get $150 in free bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Just sign up at FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel has all your favorite bets from the money line to point spreads to player props. And plus, you can even combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with the same game parlay. This weekend, AFC Championship and NFC Championship. There ain't nothing better to bet on than Championship Sunday in the NFL. So football fans, don't miss out. Place your first $5 bet to get $150 in free bets, win or lose, at FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, so let's just start with the offense, right? The Clipper offense has gotten better for a simple reason. Kawhi Leonard and Paul George are playing. It's that simple. There's no mental gymnastics that we need to do about this. For everyone saying, I talked to somebody yesterday, and they were saying, yeah, Kawhi Leonard leading that atrocious offense. And I said to him straight up, I said, give Kawhi Leonard more games. And not only are his individual averages going to go up, but the offensive rating will go up. And we've seen stats. If you watch Clipper games on Bally Sports, you see stats that they've shown recently about the Clippers offense in the last couple of weeks. So the numbers are going up. The Clippers just scored 138 points in this game. They scored 133 points in the last game. They scored 112 against Dallas and 131 against San Antonio. So things are starting to change, and that is because of Kawhi Leonard mainly. And I don't think they've updated Kawhi Leonard's stats for the Spurs game. But going into the Spurs game, he was averaging now 21 points a game. So he's starting to creep up on Paul George, funny enough. And now he's up to 34% from 3. And I'm still going to keep mentioning it. Remember when he was at 13? He's getting there. And also his field goal percentage is 51 right now. In my preseason prediction, I didn't even say his field goal percentage would be that high. I said it would be around like 45. The fact that he's already at 51 is just a testament to how amazing he's playing right now. So as far as the offense, that's that. But let's look at the season, right? The Clippers are now 51 games in, stand at 27-24, which is not a great record, but thankfully because of the West being so mediocre outside of Denver and Memphis, the Clippers stand at 5th place, 27-24. And guess what? Even though Brandon Ingram is back for New Orleans, Zion is still out, and the New Orleans Pelicans are on a 6-game losing streak because they've played without both of them until their last game where Ingram returned. They're 2 for 8 in their last 10 games, And now the Clippers have the same exact record as them in terms of 3 games over 500. The only difference is the Clippers have played 2 more games and won 1 and lost 1. But the Clips are 27-24, the Pelicans are 26-23, and the Dallas Mavericks are now officially a half game behind the Clippers. And Luka Doncic, I heard, exited the game on Thursday night. I hope he's okay. But if he misses a couple of games, I don't feel sorry for anybody because it's not like he's going to be out for a while, because I don't want Luka to be out. I don't want anyone to be injured, and I don't want the stars to be out. But the thing is, as a Clipper fan, you don't feel that much sympathy when a player misses a couple of games because our star players always miss games. So it's like, now you see what it feels like. And plus, the way the roster is constructed for Dallas, Luka Doncic missing games is just so much worse than basically any other player on any team missing games. Although Tyrese Halliburton, I mentioned it when the Clippers played them, I said if he goes down, that Pacers team is not winning anything, and they're 1-7 since Tyrese Halliburton got hurt. So I'll say that. The only thing that strikes me right now about the West standings is the Sacramento Kings. I said before the season, the Clippers need to get a top 3 seed, not just top 4. Because you know what a 4 seed is going to get the Clippers? A second round date if they make it out of the first round with the Nuggets. And that is extremely problematic. I would much rather play Memphis, even though they pose their own matchup problems. But here's one thing I'll say about Memphis for all the Clipper fans that think we struggled against them. We did not play them with Kawhi last season. We lost all 4 games, yes, but we did not play them with Kawhi. In 2021, we were 2-1 against them, and in 2020, we were also 2-1 against them. Now, they've changed a lot. They've matured a lot. John Morant's a lot better now, but we still have Kawhi Leonard. And until they play us with them, and plus, in my opinion, our game is much more built for the playoffs than theirs. We have a very good half-court offense, and they're a very transition-based team. They're just younger and more athletic than we are. However, I'd rather play them than Denver. Denver scares me in the playoffs. So the Clippers need to still climb up to get a top 3 seed. The Kings are 7 games over 500. But if the Clippers continue to play like this, they don't need to look at the standings just yet. You look at the standings after the All-Star break. What's important for the Clippers right now is to continue to win games and continue the streak and continue to build good vibes. Because we look at the season, right? I divided it into 3 parts. The past is that Kawhi Leonard and Paul George weren't healthy. Kawhi Leonard played 2 games, missed a bunch of games in which the Clippers struggled. They blew the chance to start out the season well. He came back for 3 games. Then both Kawhi and Paul got hurt. And then I'm pretty sure both of them came back against Charlotte at the same time. Yeah, at Charlotte. Kawhi hits the game winner. Kawhi's been healthy ever since. Paul George has missed a couple of games. And now they're both back. But I'll say the beginning of the season was tough because of 2 reasons. Very simple. 1, those 2 weren't healthy enough, like I just said. And secondly, Ty Lue's lineup decisions were poor. Now we're at the point where he's starting to figure it out. We're starting to see the depth of the team being utilized properly. We're starting to see Robert Covington play more. Starting to see Terrence Mann play 20-plus minutes every single night. We're starting to see a guard sacrificed. And now going forward, we found the formula. Ivica Zubac said today that the Clippers, after the Utah game, had a meeting and said, all right, let's build a winning streak. And you know what? Like, that's funny to say that, but I don't think it was a total lack of effort. I mean, there were some games where the Clippers did not come out and play with a lot of heart, but it's mainly because they weren't playing enough together. At the end of the day, you have to play games together. And I've said for a week or so now that the Clippers aren't going to, after the Utah game, I said the Clippers don't have any back-to-backs except for one from that point till March. And right now, we've seen Paul George and Kawhi play every game since that Utah game, and they've won every game since that Utah game. But the next game is a first half of a back-to-back, so the Clippers will have decisions to make. They start out with the Atlanta Hawks. That's going to be a tough one. It's going to be on Saturday at 4:30 LA time. It's going to be a good game. But you know what? I'm gonna keep it a stack. Hawks are a solid team. But the way the Clippers are playing, the Hawks ain't on the Clippers level, so that should be a win. And then at Cleveland will be tough. Donovan Mitchell just sustained a little injury, so I am not sure if he's going to play. If he doesn't, should be a win. But it will be interesting to see if Kawhi and Paul George, which games they play, which games they don't. If they're planning on load managing both, then I think that one of them should play in one game and the other should play in the other game. But they may just go for broke and say, we're just going to try to go for one win by playing both at once. And then the next game, they don't play either and just say they punt, as we call it. But I honestly like the idea of playing one night and one the other, because I think with just one, we can beat them. In my opinion, Paul George leads the way against Atlanta. Kawhi leads the way against Cleveland. And then Tuesday, January 31st, the third game of the road trip is at Chicago. Should be a win as well. Even though DeRozan and Levine are very good players, should be a win. They're not playing very good basketball this season. Then at Milwaukee on February 2nd will be very tough. That's probably the toughest game of the trip. And then at New York on February 4th, they're playing pretty good basketball as well. That should not be easy. But the Clippers are better than the Knicks. And then at Brooklyn, if Kevin Durant doesn't play, that should be a win. But they're playing good basketball. Actually, they're not. Not without Kevin Durant, they're not. So the Clippers, if KD doesn't play, should win. They're saying KD's going to try to come back for the All-Star game, but the All-Star game isn't until after the road trip. So let's see if the Clippers can get it done. 4-2, in my opinion, is the target goal for this trip. If the Clippers can go 4-2, we'll be cooking with grease. Or cooking with gas. What's the phrase? Anyway, that's it for me today. 4 straight wins. It's really time to start being excited. I'm actually looking forward to the next game. I'm starting to actually look forward to seeing this team play. I'm starting to get the season I wanted, just 50 games in. But hey, as the Clipper fans that were being optimistic the whole way said, it's not about how you start. It's about how you finish. The thing is, we're lucky that the West is how it is, that our finish still may be good enough. But Sacramento ain't no slouch. I still want to get a top 3 seed. That's it for me tonight. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DimeDropperPod. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, por favor. Still building the following. And subscribe to Locked On Clippers and answer today's pinned question. When Senior comes back, let's say no John Wall, what do you do with the 10 players? Who do you leave out if you want to go 9-man or do you want to go 10? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for making Locked On Clippers your first listen today. Now make your second listen game-to-game NBA. Every moment, every top performance, every result. Locked On game-to-game covers every game from across the NBA with local analysis that only Locked On can deliver. Follow Game to Game on Locked On NBA, available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. The age-old proverb continues. Go Clippers.